Okay, well, we have a treat today. You're gonna kind of crack up when you hear this because it's an amazing match. So this is another series in the series of unstoppable stories. And as I always love to say, this is so important to me as part of my brand and my philosophy that we choose how we live. And so, of course, my company is choosing vibrancy because I really do believe that's the most important thing is what we decide we want our life to be about. And I love sharing these stories with you all, with fabulous people, mostly fabulous women, so that they can share a story when they themselves were unstoppable. Because when we hear other stories, it it gives us that inside nudge, that extra,
Mm.
sometimes a little push, and knowing that we can do whatever it is that we really want to do, whatever is in our heart's desire. We can be unstoppable. And I think when we hear it, we go, okay, I can do that too. So that's the real juju of why I like to share these stories. So here's why you're going to crack up. This is Stacey Ruth. It's my pleasure to welcome you here. She's the CEO and founder of Unstoppable Leader. Get out of here. That's her role in life, is being an unstoppable leader and teaching others to do that. And also she has her other business is called Inside Out Marketing. So I know you've been around, you're a tremendous business entity, not only locally, but in the country. And I want you to speak to that and then share an unstoppable story, you unstoppable leader, you.
That sounds like a great plan. Thank you. It's really, really fun. And like you said, just absolutely serendipitous to be here. Two unstoppables. So I don't even know what could happen, right? So yeah, I've had a pretty unstoppable career so far. Let's not stop. But I was named one of the top 50 entrepreneurs under 50 in Atlanta. That's a great goal achieved, and also one of the top 100 IT agencies. That's my other business, is Inside Out Marketing. Twice named one of the top 100 IT agencies in the country, and those are great milestone markers. And it's really funny. I don't know how you describe unstoppable, but one of the things that I like to say about unstoppable is that being unstoppable is believing that all things are possible.
Mhm.
And so that really helps us lean in to things that we are, that inner critic in our head that says, no, 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 you're not going to do that.
Yeah. And I
And
have
so
to stop you for 1 second to
well,
say,
go ahead and stop me.
well,
Yes.
because sorry, unstoppable, I'm stopping you. It's a pause.
Pause.
Because
Yes.
what came to me is that I want to put this in people's heads, because, you just named two incredible, like, awards and recognition that you've gotten. And some
Mhm.
people might be listening and go, well, okay, she's
Right.
all of that. And so it's not hard for her. But, I don't think
Mm.
it matters what kind of awards and pinnacle things that you've reached. We still have that inner critic. It still happens, right?
Absolutely, it does. And, one of the things that is kind of a area where I focus, because it's an area where I heal, is around imposter syndrome, which um, the higher you achieve, especially women, especially underrepresented communities in the workforce, the more likely you are to experience imposter syndrome, which, if you don't recognize it, can stop you. And it's not the same thing as self-doubt. But you asked me to tell you a story about unstoppable. And it's a true story. True story. It's also an amazing metaphor that I talk about a lot, is doing a firewalk, and we don't try to become one of the top 50 entrepreneurs in Atlanta or walk across fire just for the sake of it. We're doing these things because there's something at the other end that we want to accomplish. Right. It's the perfect time of year, to talk about goals and everything. When I was going to a retreat, they were, excitedly telling everybody about the Firewalk. I had never done a Firewalk before. And I don't know if you're like me, but when we do firewalks, most of us, the first thing we know is this whole idea, this mystique around it, that it's just going to be mind over matter, right? And I was not entirely sure that I had what it took to just think myself across an open fire pit. And so I did what anybody in my situation would do, and I Googled it. And I said, there has to be a science behind this. I have a math degree in probability and statistics. I knew that 2 million people had done it. And I'm like, there's a trick. There has to be a trick. And there is. And I'll tell you, here's the secret to being unstoppable if you want to do a fire walk. When you build the fire pit, it's actually, you level it out. You have trained facilitators who know how to level it out. And there's still flames and there's still embers, but there's a layer of coal on the top. And that layer of coal, the coals don't conduct heat. So you want to walk and stay on top of the coals, right? So you don't want to walk too fast because your weight will push you down into the embers and you'll get burned and you'll wind up in the emergency room. And you don't want to go too slow. You don't want to stop and ponder the incredible experience because you'll sink down into the embers and you'll wind up in the emergency room. So that's what I knew going into it. And I was super excited because I'm like, okay, no problem. I've got it. Don't walk too fast. Don't go too slow. I can walk across fire. And so, I show up and there's all of this, shamanic rituals, and we're building the fire and we're blessing the fire, and everybody is just all kumbaya about we're going to walk across the fire. And then they take you into this room and they show you a PowerPoint that talks about all the people that walk too fast and walk too slow and wound up in the emergency room, which just sucks the air right out of the idea of walking on fire. And you walk down there and everybody's singing and kumbayaing some more, and they're like, if you want to walk across the fire, here it is, go for it. And I went ahead and I walked up to the fire. There were 80 of us there. I think 30 actually walked across the fire. And you walk up there, you got all this great science, you know what you're going to do, and the heat is incredible. And it's like sticking your head in a flaming oven, right? Wow. And there's 80 people around singing, staring at you, and the facilitator is at the other end and holding a piece of paper that has what I wrote down that I want most in the world. Wow. And says, come on, walk across this fire. I got you, and I've got what you want. And so for me, that night, when I'm standing on the edge of that fire pit, I have to ask myself, is this mine to do? Mm-hmm. And for me, that night, the answer was yes. Mm. And would I do it again? I probably would. The science does work. What really stops us, though, is the emotions that are brought up in that flame and all of the things we think we know about what's going to burn us. So that experience to me is a perfect metaphor of any goals that anybody's trying to set for their business right now, anything that they're trying to transform in their life, because that flame is just like the goals, right? Mm-hmm. I helped build and create that fire. I helped bless it. And it's always me that gets to choose whether I'm going to walk across it or not. Mm-hmm. I have that choice. Mm-hmm. And either way is okay. Either way is unstoppable.
Wow. That's an amazing story. What I thought was that the fire, for me, when I heard the story, represented all of the fear all of the
Yes.
am I enough, all of that
Oh,
self-talk,
yes.
self-doubt, that
Mhm.
we have the opportunity to walk over. And it's always to say, it's to acknowledge it, that yes,
Mhm.
there are
Yes.
things in our lives that we in times when we haven't felt our strongest, there's things that have happened that, we don't feel like we shined. All of those things are true in our past.
Mhm.
And yet it's about, looking ahead, straight ahead.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, that's an incredible story.
Well, you have to trust the process for
Yeah.
sure. And I agree with you. I think that truly the only thing that is stopping us, that fire, if you will, is our own fear, our own self-doubt.
Mhm.
And I'm a realist, I'm a pragmatist, about what I'm achieving. But the key is, am I self-aware?
Mhm.
Do I realize
Mhm.
what it is that I really want, first of all? And
Yep.
do I really realize where it is I'm headed?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And a lot of people are on autopilot, and this is the part that, it's almost like a hypnosis that we get to break, is they're more focused on achieving what they think they ought to achieve, not what they personally want to achieve.
Right. Right.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Got the t-shirt.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's easy to only be working towards the recognition, because we all love that, and
Right.
not actually building the foundation that beyond getting the prize
Right.
is still feeding what it is that is your true purpose.
That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
That values and purpose work, it is not for the faint of heart, and it is
Yeah.
worth every second you
Yeah.
invest in it.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
work. It's work to uncover that.
Yeah, and it's work because we haven't spent our formative years learning how important it is. We were actually being taught that it wasn't that important.
Right.
And so we get to learn a new way of showing up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. If I've been moving around, it's because there's a light. I don't know if you can see it, but it's coming through. So it's like,
I think you are touched by the light, my friend. There you go.
Well, I knew this would be an amazing story and an amazing connection, and you did not disappoint at all. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing an unstoppable story, you unstoppable woman, you.
Thank you very, very much.